you and me, we're going to go into way too much detail about COLREGS Rule 34, maneuvering and warning signals. Prepare. Ahoy, ahoy, I am Captain Boomy's professional mariner. I used to run big white yachts, and now I just make dumb boating videos on the internet and fight with people in the comments. Bring it. I was having a conversation with a fellow mariner when the topic came up of the potential for a miscommunication around the sound signals used in COLREGS 34. So I need to make a video about it. My last few videos made me feel like I wasn't the most impressive boat floater, because I frankly don't know a whole lot about sailing topsail schooners. And I'm sick of it. I am a damn glittering beacon of nautical know-how, and I'm tired of not showing it. I know so much boat stuff, but I have a very fragile ego, and I need to validate myself with likes and subscribes and invitations to boat parties. So please make at least one of those things happen for me. There's buttons. Fragile ego. Okay, this sounds a little annoying. Back to the navigation rules. When you pick up this handbook by the United States Coast Guard and the Department of Homeland Security, which contains the 72 COLREGs and the inland rules of navigation and blah, 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 you're going to notice that on one side it has the international rules, and on the other side it has the inland rules.
Does that mean there's different rules for inland and international?
You bet your sweet anchor that's what that means. So you gotta know the rules based on where you're boating. I could talk about why the United States decided they needed some different rules than the rest of the world, but that would be like a much longer, more annoying video. Let's just skip ahead to why I'm making this video in the first place, and that is to talk about maneuvering signals. On to my crappy graphics. Vessels that are meeting in international waters will give one short blast to indicate I am altering my course to starboard. The effect is that they will pass port to port. In inland in the United States, one short indicates I intend to leave you on my port side. The net effect is that they will pass port to port. Go and do all of that with two short, and then just swap when I said port and when I said starboard, and you get the same thing, just passing starboard to starboard. In an overtaking situation in a narrow channel internationally, I need all of those words, two prolonged followed by one short indicates I intend to overtake you on your starboard side. In the US while overtaking, but it doesn't have to be in a channel, one short indicates that I intend to overtake you on your starboard side. In the international version, the sound signal to say, yes, I agree with what you have requested to do from an overtaking standpoint is one prolonged, followed by a short, one prolonged, one short. That's how the vessel ahead acknowledges and agrees to the overtaking.
In inland overtaking, it says you're supposed to give the same signal back if you agree.
Yes. So if the vessel wishing to overtake gives one short, the vessel ahead can give one short to indicate, yeah, go ahead. Now here's where some shenanigans can happen. What if the boat ahead didn't hear the vessel behind and they were speaking international boat signals and they gave one short, meaning they are altering their course to starboard? The vessel behind would hear one short after their one short and think they were clear to pass the vessel ahead on their starboard side. But that vessel is turning to starboard. Now we got a wacky problem. But boomies, you'd never actually have that problem because the only vessels that are big enough for this to matter have professionals on board. Yeah, I agree, but there is one time that this might happen and both captains would be correct. There's a hard line where you actually switch from doing international to inland, and it's called the demarcation line. So imagine a scenario where here's two vessels in a narrow channel, and one of them is on one side of the demarcation line and the other is on the other side of the demarcation line, trying to create a passing situation. But one of them is speaking inland and one of them is speaking international, and now you have my problem. It's technically possible. Okay, so the reality is that most vessels are on the radio well ahead of time anyway. And if they're big enough vessels for this to matter, then they probably have pilots on board that rowed out to the vessels together anyway. So they probably talked about their game plan. They probably know a lot about each other, like each other's cell phone numbers, and this one's kid is failing algebra, and that one's wife is gonna leave him for a stevedore. Sorry. So yes, it is a very, very unlikely scenario, but hope you learned something. Hope it wasn't too boring. I really did have entirely too much fun for a little while making this.